and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the absolutely incredible support by the folks over at Factory Entertainment, we're going to be taking a look at their new 1-to-1 scale Star Trek The Next Generation RESSIKAN Flute prop replica. Now, Star Trek for me is a huge love. My introduction to it came way with the original series motion pictures. One of my personal favorites is Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, because I've always really liked whales. But due to the success of those live action movies, it brought in a lot of new generations to discover the Star Trek universe, and that new generation of fan was given a new series by the name of Star Trek The Next Generation. And one of the all-time most memorable episodes features Jean-Luc Picard basically being hit with a beam that in a span of 25 minutes or so basically lived an entire lifetime on an entirely different planet. This episode, Inner Light, has won awards and is widely regarded as one of the very best in all of Star Trek. In that episode, Jean-Luc has the memories of himself as Jean-Luc Picard, but he's in a really confused kind of life at this point. He's living the life of basically another man and experiences all of the joys of that life, including learning how to play a very special flute. This is an absolutely incredible prop replica. Now, I had one from a previous company that was ran, I believe, by the son of Gene Roddenberry, and the name of the company was just Roddenberry. They released a RESSIKAN flute many years ago, and I've had that in my collection for the longest time. And as a fan, when I found out that Factory Entertainment was going to be doing one, I was absolutely excited for it, because I have a lot of their prop replicas, and they have never let me down. And as much as I loved that original one by Roddenberry, there were issues about it that I never really liked. Now, don't worry, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison here in a bit, but why don't we switch venues for a little bit? I don't think you want to see my face. I think you're mostly here to see the flute. So, without further ado, let's head on over to my table and take a closer look at this amazing prop replica. Starting off first, I wanted to show the packaging for this, because I really feel that Factory Entertainment has done a terrific job with it. It's a very simple look, but it has an elegance to it that really does give it a very collector feel. On the right side here, you have an absolute gorgeous image of the cast from Star Trek The Next Generation. All the main characters are here, from Worf to Data. You got Geordi LaForge, Dr. Crusher, Deanna Troi, and of course, the icon himself, Jean-Luc Picard. But what I also like is they put the Enterprise D there as well, which to me has always been a character on the show as well. It's one aspect that not a lot of people really kind of recognize, that in addition to all these amazing characters, the Enterprise itself also does take on a life. And I like that they included that there. Come over to the side. Of course, you got the logo for the United Federation of Planets, as well as the Star Trek The Next Generation logo right here. Then when you come to the top of the box, you got that very classic look, which was seen in every single episode as their communicator badge. That's a nice additional touch. The bottom section here has all the warnings and things of that nature, that this is not a toy. You got the Star Trek logo on that side, same as on that side. And then the back, you have a replica image of what we have here in the front. So really very nicely done. And then it also does come with a certificate of authenticity, which is done in a beautiful fashion. Whoever designed this did a terrific job of recreating the LCARS look from the screens that we constantly saw in just about every Star Trek series. You can see the RESSIKAN Flute limited edition prop replica. You got some numbers right there. I don't know exactly what those are, but knowing them, all these numbers probably mean something. I know a lot of the guys over there at Factory like putting in little hidden gems, so I'd be curious if any of that stuff means anything. The back of it here has the battery instructions on how to insert it and things of that nature, which I'll get into. And then when you open it up, again, really very nice display, including a synopsis of the episode itself, and then a background onto the actual prop. It says that the original props were constructed from parts taken from several tin whistles. None of the props, though, could function as a flute because sound producing elements had to be removed to accommodate the design. So when we actually saw Jean-Luc Picard playing this, that was all done in post. None of the actual props had a working functionality. And the folks over at Factory Entertainment were able to get the surviving replicas to be able to copy it directly to ensure the utmost accuracy in recreating this replica. It says that it was milled from solid brass alloy and hand painted to suggest a vintage finish. And that the actual storage box is cast out of poly resin, so there is a good weight to this. And one thing that is worth noting is that the RESSIKAN Flute was seen in several different episodes of The Next Generation, obviously primarily focused in the Inner Light. Much like the memories that live within Picard, one of the everlasting elements was he would occasionally still pull out the flute and play it. But as like with everything, when something is constantly reused on a TV set or a movie, it's changed slightly each and every time. So Factory was able to go get several of them, take a look, and then create kind of an amalgamation of all those different designs in one piece, blending all those subtle elements to create a really finely tuned instrument. One other thing that's worth noting is I did talk about the fact that this does have something that no other replica, wow, that is heavy, that I have ever seen about this actually built into it. And while the look is absolutely iconic for a Star Trek fan, it's the melody that is played that instantly can be recognized as that beautiful sound from the Inner Light. As I said though, the flute itself never featured any of that musical playing, which created a unique challenge for Factory Entertainment, both in terms of technical functionality as well as licensing. They had to get that actual original sound, which is a whole nother thing than just creating a replica. So kudos to them for being able to navigate those very tricky waters. But for the replica itself, as I said, this is the outer storage box for it. And it is gorgeous. Made out of poly resin. This is very heavy. I mean, it is solid and gorgeous. The detail, the paint applications, all is really exceptionally well done. Now, I'm going to do this throughout the entire thing because was the one that was done by the folks at Roddenberry. So Gene Roddenberry's son, like I said, put out several prop replicas from various parts of Star Trek history. This was one that I absolutely loved for the longest time, but you can see there is a considerable difference. It is, number one, a little bit smaller than the Roddenberry one, both in terms of length, height, and even depth. Putting that on top, you can see it's a little bit more shallow, but more accurate, I believe. It was meant to kind of fit in your hand like this. This is definitely oversized and doesn't really work. And then when you look at the detail on here, this number one is extraordinarily light. There is some weight to it, but you can see the difference in terms of the coloring. This is like plastic, whereas this is poly resin. So you can get a lot more detail and paint sculpted into it than you can with this. And I mean, it's decent, but it really doesn't have a very real sort of look. It kind of looks like foam almost. I'm not a big fan of it. This looks absolutely gorgeous all the way around. You come around to the bottom, you can see you got the Star Trek logo, Factory Entertainment, all that kind of stuff. I have the limited edition number 131, which is nice. I don't know why, but 131, hey, yay. But opening this, You can see that the only real benefit I always felt to this was you get this little thing which has Morgan Gander. I don't even know who that Gander. I think he's the writer of the episode. You got a little autograph thing right there, which, yeah, that's autograph because you can see the marker going through there. And he just talked about the episode for the most part. And then you had some more foam pieces. And then this is what I had. Now this is another problem that I had. When I got it, it was missing one of these little round sections. So the folks at Roddenberry really, while it looks okay, just if you look at it, it just wasn't lovingly recreated. Now, they talked about how this was handmade, hand-assembled, all that fun stuff, but just the quality on it was absolutely subpar. The box was not very good. This was broken. It's very thin, which just didn't seem right. I mean, you got like wood, and then you got this piece right here, which, you know, that's pretty decent, I guess. And for me, it served as a decent replica for a number of years. But this one, by the Factory Entertainment people, absolutely blow it away. When you open it, one thing that I wish, that one didn't do either. I wish you could, I mean, I guess the display is meant to be completely flat like that, but I wish there was a way I could prop it up like so. So setting that there. One thing that's nice, first and foremost, is there are magnets up here on each of the little corners so that when you close it, it kind of grabs it, and there's a little bit, you can feel it when you're trying to lift it. That's really cool. I like that small little touch. But here is a far more amazing replica. Number one, it's not missing any little bits right here. But like I said, this is kind of like a combination of a few different appearances of it, but nails the look beautifully. It is a smaller piece than the Roddenberry one, but this is still a lot more accurate. It should be this small. Now, again, in true fashion, this cannot be played, but when you're holding this in your hand, this is right, and you can... Let me see here. It's not meant to be played, but you can hear that you can still blow in it. So that almost sounded like the sound, but absolutely gorgeous. The metal on here is really nice. You do have the CBS logo right there, which there's no real way they can get around that. But again, you got the nice actual chrome element right on that side, which was lacking on this. The string, I think, looks a little bit nicer on this as well. The tassel itself is a more delicate kind of look as opposed to this one, which ends up just looking frayed and kind of wimpy, I guess. But again, a much heavier piece because this is solid metal, whereas this, it's like there's wood, and you can see like this seam going down there, just not well done. I mean, this is all so much better, and you would expect more from a company that bears the name of the creator of Star Trek, right? I mean, I would think so, but just gorgeous. You can see, I mean, even like when you look at this, look at the thickness. You can see that this is a much thicker piece. It's just heavier duty. But as I talked about, there is an element to this that this didn't even have, and that is the actual sound, which, as I mentioned, is iconic of a kind of melody in Star Trek as just about anything. So what you do does require 2 AAA batteries. Moving this out of the way for right now. On the underside of this is the battery compartment. You got the on and off switch right here, and then come around to the side, and hidden very nicely right there, you can see that it matches the color, is the button. Now, what I absolutely love is that you can close this and still push the button. That's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. It goes through this pretty decently. If you have it open, it's going to be a little bit better because you don't have to go through the material, but you can't see the look on my face, but I'm closing my eyes. I'm feeling the music. It's so beautiful. I'm just going to let it play. beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can, again, you can put this right here and close the lid and make sure that's not out there. And then again, you can play it. And it sounds good. So listening to it, the sound permeates very nicely. And then if you don't want to keep listening to it, you can push it again and it turns it off. I mean, get this out of the way. That's going to go away. Now, that thing was $300 when it first came out. This is $275. You get a higher quality flute. You get a immensely higher quality storage box for it. Plus, you get the song to actually play. I mean, that's amazing. There's no way that you could release this without being able to have that song pop in your mind. And the fact that you couldn't actually play the flute means that you couldn't pick this up and play it. So the next best thing was to put the sound into the replica. I am beyond speechless when it comes to this. I have reviewed many things and a lot of prop replicas from a lot of different companies, including Factory Entertainment. Maybe it's just my connection and love for Star Trek, but this has got to be my favorite piece that they have ever done. Now, before I ramble on anymore, I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to make sure that I send a huge thank you to all of the people at Factory Entertainment who really did put a lot of love and care into this. I don't know a lot of Star Trek The Next Generation fans that are not fans of the Inner Light episode. And going even further, I do not know a lot of fans that watch this episode and don't get teary-eyed. I know I do every single time. And one of the most amazing things about prop replicas is it allows you to connect with that very powerful scene from television or film. And that's absolutely what this does. So if this is a piece that you would like to pick up, it is available online at places like Big Bad Toy Store, or you can go on Factory Entertainment's website at factoryent.com, where you can check out availability on this, as well as the rest of their wide range of outstanding products. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, I want to send a huge thank you to all of you that watch my videos. If you enjoyed this look at the RESSIKAN Flute, I'd appreciate it if you would please do one quick thing for me, and that's just to hit that thumbs up button. Believe it or not, that one very small gesture, which takes like a nanosecond to do, really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really very much appreciate it. And remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching, and in the immortal words of Leonard Nimoy's Spock, live long and prosper.